name is Stephen Sindoni. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast entitled History Timeline According to Zecharia Sitchin. The information I will be going over today can be found in a book entitled The Cosmic Code, the Sixth Book of the Earth Chronicles. 450,000 years ago on Nibiru, a distant member of our solar system, life faces slow extinction as the planet's atmosphere erodes. Deposed by Anu, the ruler Alalu escapes in a spaceship and finds refuge on Earth. He discovers that Earth has gold that can be used to protect Nibiru's atmosphere. 445,000 years ago, led by Enki, a son of Anu, the Anunnaki land on Earth, established Eridu, Earth, Station 1 for extracting gold from the waters of the Persian Gulf. 430,000 years ago, Earth's climate mellows. More Anunnaki arrive on Earth, among them Enki's half-sister, Ninhursag, Chief Medical Officer. 416,000 years ago, as gold production falters, Anu arrives on Earth with his son Enlil, the heir apparent. It is decided to obtain the vital gold by mining in southern Africa. Drawing lots, Enlil wins command of Earth's mission. Enki is relegated to Africa. On departing Earth, Anu is challenged by Alalu's grandson. 400,000 years ago, 7 functional settlements in southern Mesopotamia include a spaceport at Sapar, Mission Control Center, Nippur, a metallurgical center in Shurapak. The ores arrive by ships from Africa. The refined metal is sent aloft to orbiters manned by Agigi, then transferred to spaceships arriving periodically from Nibiru. 380,000 years ago, gaining the support of the Agigi, Alalu's grandson Marduk attempts to seize mastery over Earth. The Enlilites win the war of the olden gods. 300,000 years ago, the Anunnaki, toiling in the gold mines, mutiny. Enki and his sister Ninhursag create primitive workers through genetic manipulation of ape women. They take over the manual chores of the Anunnaki. Enlil raids the mines, brings the primitive workers to the Idin and Mesopotamia. Given the ability to procreate, Homo sapiens begin to multiply. 200,000 years ago, life on Earth regresses during a new glacial period. 100,000 years ago, climate warms again. The Anunnaki, the biblical Nephilim, to Enlil's growing annoyance, marry the daughters of man. 75,000 years ago, the accusation of Earth, a new ice age begins. Repressive types of man roam the Earth. Cro-Magnon man survives. 49,000 years ago, Enki and his sister Ninhursag elevate humans of Anunnaki parentage to rule in Shurapak. Enlil, his brother, enraged, plots mankind's demise. 13,000 years ago, realizing that the passage of Nibiru in Earth's proximity will trigger an immense tidal wave, Enlil makes the Anunnaki swear to keep the impending calamity a secret from mankind. 11,000 years ago, Enki breaks the oath and instructs Zecharia, known as Noah, to build a submersible ship. The deluge sweeps over the Earth. The Anunnaki witness the total destruction from their orbiting spacecraft. And once the flood is over, Enlil returns to Earth and is surprised to find that Noah has lived. Upon seeing the humans, Enlil agrees to grant the remnants of mankind implements and seeds, agriculture, to begin in the highlands. Enki domesticates the animals. 10,500 BC, the descendants of Noah are allotted 3 regions. Ninurta, Enlil's foremost son, dams the mountains and drains the rivers to make Mesopotamia habitable. Enki reclaims the Nile Valley. The Sinai Peninsula is retained by the Anunnaki for a post-diluvial spaceport. A control center is established on Mount Moriah, the future Jerusalem. 9,780 BC, Ra, or Marduk, Enki's firstborn son, divides dominion over Egypt between Osiris and Seth. 9,330 years ago BC, Seth seizes and dismembers Osiris, assumes sole rule over the Nile Valley. 8,970 BC, Horus avenges his father Osiris by launching the First Pyramid War. Seth escapes to Asia, seizes the Sinai Peninsula and Canaan. 8,670 BC, opposed to the resulting control of all the space facilities by Enki's descendants, the Enlilites launched the Second Pyramid War. The victorious Ninurta empties the Great Pyramid of its equipment. Ninhursag, half-sister of Enki and Enlil, convenes peace conference. The division of earth is reaffirmed. Rule over Egypt transferred from the Ra-Marduk dynasty to that of Thoth. Heliopolis built as a substitute beacon city. 8500 BC, the Anunnaki established outposts at the gateway to the space facilities. Jericho is one of them. 7400 BC, as the era of peace continues, the Anunnaki grant mankind new advances. The Neolithic period begins. Demigods rule over Egypt. 3800 BC, urban civilization begins in Sumer as the Anunnaki re-establish there the golden cities, beginning with Eridu and Nippur. Anu, the ruler of Nibiru, again returns to Earth for a pageant visit. A new city, Uruk, is built in his honor. He makes his temple for the abode of his beloved granddaughter, Inanna, or Ishtar, as she is also known. And at 3760 years BC, kingship on Earth was granted. Mankind granted kingship. Kish is first capital under the aegis of Ninurta. The calendar begun at Nippur. Civilization blossoms out in Sumer, the first region. 3450 BC, primacy in Sumer transferred to Ninar, or Sin as he is also known. Marduk proclaims Babylon gateway of the gods. The Tower of Babel incident and the Anunnaki confuse mankind's languages. His coup frustrated, Marduk or Ra returns to Egypt, deposes Thoth, seizes his younger brother, Dumazi, who had betrothed Inanna. Dumazi, accidentally killed, Marduk imprisoned alive in the Great Pyramid. Free through an emergency shaft, he goes into exile. 3100 BC, years of chaos ends with installation of first Egyptian pharaoh in Memphis. Civilization comes to the second region. 2900 BC, kingship in Sumer transferred to Iraq. Inanna gives dominion over the third region. The Indus Valley civilization begins. 2650 BC, Sumer's royal capital shifts about. Kingship deteriorates. Enlil loses patience with the unruly human multitudes. 2371 BC, Inanna falls in love with Sharu Kin, or Sargon as he is known. He establishes a new capital city. Agade, or Akkad, Akkadian Empire launched. 2316 BC, aiming to rule the four regions, Sargon removes sacred soil from Babylon. The Marduk-Inanna conflict flares up again. It ends with Nergal, Marduk's brother, journeying from South Africa to Babylon and persuades Marduk to leave Mesopotamia. 2291 BC, Naram, or Sin, ascends the throne of Akkad. Directed by the warlike Inanna, he penetrates the Sinai Peninsula, invades Egypt. 2255 BC, Inanna usurps the power in Mesopotamia. Naram Sin defies Nippur. The great Anunnaki obliterate Agade. Inanna escapes. Sumer and Akkad occupied by foreign troops, loyal to Enlil and his son Ninurta. 2220 BC, Sumerian civilization rises to new heights under enlightened rulers of Lagash. Thoth helps its king, Gudea, build a ziggurat temple for Ninurta. 2193 BC, Terah, Abraham's father, born in the poor, into a priestly royal family. 2180 BC, Egypt divided. Followers of Ra-Marduk retained the south. Pharaohs opposed to him gained the throne of Lower Egypt. 2130 BC, as Enlil and Ninurta are increasingly away, central authority also deteriorates in Mesopotamia. Inanna's attempts to gain the kingship for Iraq does not last. And here now, as it is called, the fatal century. 2123 BC, Abraham is born in Nippur. And only 10 years later, in 2113 BC, Enlil entrusts the lands of Shem to Nanar. Is declared capital of new empire. Namu ascends throne, is named protector of Nippur. An Nippurian priest, Terah, Abraham's father, comes to to liaison with its royal court. 2096 BC, Namu dies in battle. The people consider his untimely death a betrayal by Anu and Enlil. Terah departs with his family for Haran. 2095 BC, Shulgi ascends the throne of strengthens imperial ties. As empire thrives, Shulgi falls on the charms of Inanna, becomes her lover, grants Larsa to Elamites in exchange for serving as his foreign legion. 2080 BC, Theban princes loyal to Ra-Marduk press northward under Mentuhotep I. Nabu, Marduk's son, gains adherents for his father in Western Asia. 2055 BC, on Nanar's orders, Shulgi sends Elamite troops to suppress unrest in Canaanite cities. Elamites reach the gateway to the Sinai Peninsula and its spaceport. 2048 BC, Shulgi dies. Marduk moves to the land of the Hittites. Abraham ordered to southern Canaan with an elite corps of cavalrymen. 2047 BC, Amar, or Sin as he's called, the biblical Amraphel, becomes king of Abraham goes to Egypt, stays 5 years, then returns with more troops. 2041 BC, guided by Inanna, Amar Sin forms a coalition of kings of the east, launches military expedition to Canaan and the Sinai. Its leaders in the Elamite Kedador Laomer. Abraham blocks the advance at the gateway to the spaceport. 2038 BC, Shu Sin replaces Amar Sin on throne of as the empire disintegrates. 2029 BC, Ibi Sin replaces Shu Sin, the western provinces increasingly to Marduk. 2024 BC, leading his followers, Marduk marches on Sumer, enthrones himself in Babylon. Fighting spreads to central Mesopotamia. Nippur's Holy of Holies is defiled. Enlil demands punishment from Marduk and Nabu. Enki opposes, but his son Nagal sides with Enlil. Son Nabu marshals his Canaanite followers to capture the spaceport. The great Anunnaki approve of the use of nuclear weapons. Nagal and Ninurta destroy the spaceport and the errant Canaanite cities. 2023 BC, the winds carry the radioactive cloud to Sumer. People die a terrible death. Animals perish, the water is poisoned, the soil becomes barren. Sumer and his great civilization lie prostrate. Its legacy passes to Abraham's seed as he begets, at age 100, a legitimate heir, a son named Isaac. In closing, I would like to thank everyone for watching and listening. Sky,